guys. And let's start with Michael Mayer, who I'm gonna put up this graphic here. Michael Mayer is currently the favorite to be the first tight end taken, Notre Dame tight end. He is minus 120 to be the first tight end taken. Minus 120, if for those who are new to betting, we are not necessarily a betting show, but that's about a 54.5% implied. If you believe he's going to be first, you want to make that bet. That's the imply that you have to have. Michael Mayer, when you look at the grinding the mocks data, he is an average draft position in the grinding the mocks data by our friend Ben Robinson at 24.1. So, you look at Mayer, he's going to be, the first tight end taken in all likelihood, but he's not going to go until the second, the third basically of the first round. He's a guy, when you look at him from Notre Dame, about a little under 6'4", 250 or so, 4'7", 40, 32.5 inch vertical, 9.10 broad. So when you're looking at it from an athlete perspective, big, fast enough, strong. When I watch him play, like, everybody looks at the 87, and it's probably a good tactic if you're a college tight end to wear that number if you're a big white guy. He did kind of look like Gronk a little bit, but Gronk is somebody that is going to be hard to match, right? And so when I watched him, I thought, this is a guy who looks like the whole package, can block, but as a receiver, he's very tough. He takes hits. He didn't shy away really from any of the route concepts a tight end would have to run at the NFL level. But he's not going to be that rare athlete that some of these other guys are.
He's not going to be the rare athlete. Let me start by saying I appreciate your assessment. I will say that All-American, right? All world guy and all that great stuff about him. My biggest concern is 24 does seem right for him ish, right? 24, 25, 26. But I personally think there's a guy that I would take in front of him because, and we'll get to that person. I just believe that there are limitations on Mike, though he is, I believe, a very good football player with an all-encompassing element to him. He is the blocking ability, the power to move, the power to get his butt around and steer. We talk about that. It's important for a guy who's not an offensive lineman. He's the closest guy to be able to help you in chip off ability, et cetera, et cetera. I am, quite honestly, most concerned about his lack of pure fluidity and athleticism, right? Now, you don't need the 9 athlete or the 8 athlete or the rare or the excellent athlete. You can have the good athlete. I'm still in the spot right now, Eric, where I'm trying to decide, is he a good athlete or is he an above average athlete? And that makes a difference for me in the first round. I definitely want a good athlete. And there are times when I see limitations in his adjustment, his ability to catch the ball and turn up the field. He's not a make you miss guy, of course. He'll run you over, which I love. I just think his value is honestly a little bit later in the first round. I see where it might be here. A guy like this in the past might have gone in the beginning of the second round. Like him a lot, know there are limitations, but I think he's going to have a long career in this league, and he's going to do some really good stuff as a starter in this league.
Do you think, production-wise at Notre Dame, 2.44 yards per route run, which was first in college football among tight ends, but when you look at that Notre Dame offense, pretty desolate as far as other options to go to. Like, he was their number one player as far as an option in the passing game. So he was productive, and that's awesome, but he was really all they had. Only 8.1 yards average depth of target. We're going to get to a guy in Luke Musgrave later who was much more of a down the field guy. Only 5 yards yak per catch, which again, like, he will run you over, but he won't run around you. To me, when I think about, and you're right. I mean, like, I think when I'm watching him, I'm like, man, he looks like he looked like what Heath Miller looked like at the NFL level. The problem is Heath Miller did it at the NFL level versus doing it at the college level where guys are not quite as athletic. You can be a first round tight end if you are of the Mercedes Lewis, Heath Miller ilk athletically, but it's not going to be as easy for you. And we've seen, like, those guys had long careers, but they weren't necessarily like all pro type players at position.
Good football players, not necessarily all pro. Do you need to be all pro? Again, you would like it. We were talking last night about your best friend, the quarterback that you laud every time we are anywhere trying to get people on your side. Baker Mayfield, we were talking about that. That's a whole other topic of 30 and 30 or whatever we talked about. You know, what are you expecting out of a tight end, right? Are you expecting him to be a difference maker? I believe in the top 20, you are a difference maker,
Mhm.
whatever that definition is. Again, remember, everyone, it is imperative as a rising exec, if you ever get in this spot, what your expectations are. And that is having that unbelievably direct conversation with your owner. What are you expecting in these draft picks? And I say that on a tight end. Just because you draft a tight end at 24 or 20, you better make sure you know what his expectations are. Because if he's not ripping it up, that's a whole different story. All of a sudden, you have a guy who might be a blunder. By the way, we used to have that. Bust and blunder is a very different, semantically, it's a very different word, of course, in a classification, which we could lead into another time with Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield, maybe not a bust, maybe not a blunder, but also not a hit, right? I think we're coming to agreement here on that a little bit. By the way, I did get one person semi on my side last night, which felt like a win for me. But that was it wasn't, it's not going to be perfect.
You got him on your side. You got him on your side. And it was Jack Easterby, just so everyone knows. I mean, we're not going to get into Jack joined us. Great seeing him again. Jack is a very intelligent guy. By the way, he's got different perceptions as you do on things. I would only say, hey, there's opportunities to talk to people across the league on it. And I think it's interesting. You got someone on your side.
There's real signal in the fact that the Browns didn't have any interest in signing him to a deal. That to me is the big feather in your cap in being in the he wasn't he didn't have a great 4 years